The executive continued his monologue. The Japanese embassy staff is of absolute no use to businessmen like myself wishing to set up operations overseas. What happens is that I usually end up initiating negotiations with local businesses myself. Only after I've done all the hard work does the Japanese government come into the picture. Embassy staff members these days lack any sense of responsibility for their country. Because you're still young, Mr. Yamamoto, it's important that you view Japan and the world from a broader perspective and not limit yourself to the framework of religion. Up to this point, Shinichi had quietly listened to their host's remarks, but now he smiled and said, "Yes, I'm young. I therefore hope you will permit me to voice my ideals and beliefs as a youth." The man looked at Shinichi with a startled expression. Certainly, Japan's trading companies and other leading businesses will have an important role to play in our country's economical development, Shinichi Yamamoto emphasized. Nevertheless, they are doomed to fail if they adopt a course that exploits our Asian neighbors. It's perfectly fine for Japan to offer monetary assistance in the interests of economic cooperation. But we have to give serious thought to whether we are really benefiting the people we are offering that assistance to. I think it's wrong of Japan to try to gain economic supremacy over other Asian countries while slyly exploiting or abusing them. I firmly believe we cannot afford to consider Japan's prosperity at the expense of our Asian neighbors. The businessman began to frown. In the past, Shinichi continued, Japan took control of Asia through military means. Our post war reconstruction has, we hoped, been based on a recognition of the past errors. If Japan now goes on to dominate Asia economically, it will repeat the same terrible mistake it made before. You are in India now, not Japan, so you should be constantly thinking about what is necessary to realize greater wealth for the people of India. You must work for the happiness of the Indian people, earnestly searching for a way to ensure the mutual prosperity of both Japan and India. The man winced at Shinichi's words but maintained his smug facade, saying, Mutual prosperity is the first rule in our line of business. All too often, however, Shinichi replied, that first rule is forgotten. This is truly regrettable. The philosophy of Buddhism expounds coexistence and mutual prosperity as one of its fundamental principles. Buddhism is a life revolutionizing philosophy for transforming the sort of human arrogance that seeks only personal prosperity at the expense of others. That is why we are spreading this Buddhism for the sake of Japan and the world. We are truly concerned about the country and about the world's future. What I'm saying now will be borne out clearly in 10 or 20 years. The businessman gazed at Shinichi, beads of perspiration forming on his brows. Shinichi turned to his companions and said, Well, now that we have exchanged our views, let's be going, shall we? Flustered by his turn of events, their host said hastily, Oh no, please don't go. I insist you stay for dinner. The meal has been prepared. Please, I insist, he said, almost pleading. To spare their host from losing face, Shinichi decided to comply with his request. A lion is proud. Shinichi Yamamoto has deliberately challenged the branch manager's views. His pride as President Toda's disciple would not let him remain silent in the face of the man's patronizing attitude towards the Soka Gakkai and its members. He also felt compelled to attack the arrogance of the man displayed as a Japanese towards other Asian nations. Arriving back at their hotel after dining at the branch manager's home, Shinichi said to the others, "We don't have to rely on anyone's charity for a meal. A person is free to think that they like about the Gakkai, but we have every right to speak out too. Failing to correct misconceptions about the Gakkai just because someone is offering to treat us to a meal would be cowardly. Shinichi was a lion, a fighter."